Factoring. There we go. Okay, so when I'm talking about a equals 1, what I'm talking about is the standard form. So trinomials often appear in standard form like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so when they're in standard form, and that's what this is right here, we can kind of pair up what a, b, and c are. You know, if we put it right underneath each other, here, let me do that for you. Get that too. There we go. Okay, so we can kind of see that the setup is pretty similar. We could see that the c is the constant at the end, the b is the coefficient of the x term, it has a power of 1, and a is the coefficient of the x term that has a power of 2. Okay, so if we wanted to identify these, which is our step 1, so let's go ahead and write that out. So on your notes, you'll have the title, you'll have this example, and then you'll go ahead and step. So step 1 would actually be, identify A, B, and C. The reason we do this as our step 1 is because if A isn't 1, that's what the examples we're going to be doing. If A isn't 1, then we have a slightly different method to use. So the first thing you want to identify is, okay, what is my A? Is it 1? Is it not? So even though it's a small step, it's really crucial in the whole process. So we'll say A. So since there's no term right here, no coefficient right here, it's kind of invisible. We assume it to be 1. Okay, there is an invisible 1 right here. We just don't write it. So A is 1. B is 9, right? We paired up B and 9 together. B equals 9. And C is 14. A really important concept is make sure you have the correct signs. So for instance, if this was, let's say this was a negative 14. So it was a negative 14. Then my C takes on that sign. So C would include that negative. So I'd put a negative here. Same thing if the 9. Let's pretend, just for a second, let's pretend that this was a negative 9. Sorry, negative 9x. Then when I identify my B, that B takes on the sign in front. Okay, notice it's to the left. Your number takes on the sign in front of it to the left. That'd be a negative 9. Okay, but that's not the case. So I don't want to confuse. I just wanted you to be able to kind of tell the difference. Okay, so moving on. Let's go to our step 2. I'm going to write step 2 over here. Okay, step 2. Find the multiples of C that add up to B. Okay, kind of a funny sentence, but let's kind of, take it piece by piece. So find the multiples of C. What is C? Well, we identified C over here. C is 14. So what are the multiples of 14? What times what gives me 14? Well, we know 1 times 14. And those of you that are not very familiar with their multiples, maybe multiples is somewhere you started to struggle in math, it's okay, just keep practicing them. But if you do struggle with your multiples, I would just write out, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up until, you've reached a number where the set of multiples starts repeating. And then just write them out. 1 times what is 14? Well, 1 times 14 is 14. Okay. 2 times what is 14? Well, 2 times 7 is 14. 3 times what is 14? Well, 3 times nothing is 14, so that one doesn't work out, and that's okay. You know. And then same thing with 4. 4 times what? Well, 4 times nothing. It's 5 times. So this is what we're working with, And those of you that are a little bit better at your multiples, you'll identify that right away. That 2, 1, and 2 are the only ones you're gonna have. Okay, so this is where we stop. Sometimes that list gets a little long, but that's okay. All right, so that's the first part of step 2. Find the multiples of C. Okay, done. Found that. Next part I'll underline in blue. Now, which set of multiples add up to B? Well, what is our b? Our b is 9. So which one of these two pairs, something plus a something, gives me my b, which is 9? And you can kind of play around with them, especially, if adding numbers and subtracting numbers in your head is a bit difficult. Play around with them. So, 1 plus 14. No, that doesn't work. 1 plus 14 isn't 9, it's 15. Then you do move to the second one. 2 plus 7. Oh, well, that works, right? 2 plus 7 is 9. So these are our winners. So these are the ones we're going to use for step 3. So we can kind of ignore those now, right? Okay. So let me move on to step 3. I'm going to move my screen over a bit. Probably right there. Okay. Step 3. Okay, so now that we have our multiples, right, that we need, all we're really going to do is, plug them in to the factored form. So remember before, let me bring this over a bit. Remember I had said this right here was called standard form. If you have a polynomial like this or a trinomial, this is called standard form. This is what we have. Now what we're trying to do is get it into factored form, which is this over here. Okay, so we're going to plug in multiples to factored form. Okay, and so what our factored form looks like is x plus p, x plus q. That's all it is. So we're saying p and q are our multiples. So we're going to plug it in, right? We're going to have x or x's, and then this is what these two things is what we're plugging in. We're plugging in a 2 and a 7, right? 2 could be p and 7 could be q. Okay, and that is it. That is your answer. We have factored the trinomial. So essentially you have, 3 major steps in this. Step 1, identify a, b, and c. Step 2, find the multiples of c that add up to b. And step 3, plug them in. Okay, and this is when we are factoring trinomials when a equals 1. So there's a slightly different method for when a is not 1, when a is greater than 1, and we'll go over that next. But this is pretty much how you would do a trinomial with the leading coefficient of 1. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and if you have any questions, please contact a math teacher. Thank you.